name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better.
Today on One Always There. Today on One, your daily dose of local affairs and social media commentary. Today on One, Ndaitunga defends criticism against Nampol. Government urge to improve transparency on COVID-19 donations. And Disability Benefits Trust donates to beneficiaries.
Inspector General of the Namibian Police Force, Sebastian Ndaitunga, says the Namibian nation has turned a blind eye towards the successes of his force. While addressing senior managers of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, Ndaitunga pointed out various successes his force has accomplished and said that many of those have gone unnoticed by members of society.
The challenge of our ministry is obvious. But successes are also obvious. This is a ministry that has succeeded in many areas. And I can tell you, notable so, is a ministry that is at the daily life, dynamic life of every citizen of our country.
Ndaitunga said most members of society, including politicians, criticize his force without looking at the challenges they face on a daily basis as law enforcement. He added that as much as critics like to point fingers, they barely give any advice, which according to Ndaitunga seems unfair. Minister Frans Kapofi acknowledged the obstacles standing in the way of Nampol and vowed to be there for his agency and assist where possible.
I share the values that you do. There is no doubt about that. But our people need better service. I always say, put yourself in the shoes of that citizen who is crying for a document, who is crying for this or the other service, who is coming, reporting. There are times that people come crying, there is a crime being committed, but we are told, yeah, there is no transport, or stay there, we are coming. Let's show empathy to our people when they come.
Kapofi further encouraged the senior managers to set a good example to those working under them and asked that they assist one another, as it is the only way success will be guaranteed.
Share with us on #LearnOnOne. Tell us what you're learning and where you're learning it from. Send us your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better.
The Chief Regional Officer at the Khomas Regional Council has urged the government to keep receipts of all emergency donations such as food parcels and other essential goods that are aimed at addressing the adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on vulnerable people, as this promotes fiscal transparency and public accountability. Promoting public accountability and fiscal transparency are essential pillars of good governance, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. These are the words emphasized by Clement Mwafila, the Chief Regional Officer of the Khomas region, as he received food parcels on behalf of the government through a donation made by a faith-based organization in Windhoek.
What we do as a government, we emphasize the issue of good governance, referring to accountability, transparency. So in this regard, what we do after receiving this donation, we will identify a constituency where we will distribute this food. There, to make sure that your food is accounted for, there is a register where they must have a proof that they've received the food, and when they do the distribution, then you are also encouraged. We'll let you know which constituency is going to receive your food, and we always encourage all the donors that you must be present when the food, if you have time. If you don't have time as well, you can go and check where was the food distributed. Because in this register we are referring, there must be an earth number where it's applicable, the name, the contact that you can verify. Did you ever receive this food? And I'm appealing also to the media that definitely for the sake of transparency, you can still go to our constituency office and find out, and they will give you the register. And that food should have been signed for. That's what we can guarantee you in terms of the food distribution. Yes? And then there we are also abiding to criteria. Our criteria, it has been stated, those who are not beneficial in terms of the social grants, whatever government is giving, they will not be part of them. But then we give those who are needy. But we still also have special cases where really you can come in. When it comes to urban poverty, it's real. You can come and find an old man who can benefit from the social grant, but you can see these people are starving. In that regard, it becomes a special case. Then we'll use our discretion to see that we can help those needy people.
Oscar Hiskia, the disaster coordinator for the Khomas region, said that the donations, which include various food parcels and toiletries, will be handed over to hundreds of homeless people who are allowed by government to temporarily stay at the Khomasdal Stadium and the Katutura Youth Complex for the duration of the COVID-19 state of emergency.
The food commodities plus the toiletries, including the toilet papers and the soap which is still being received, will divert it to the people without shelter, where we call them the homeless people, people without shelter, people who are accommodated at the Khomasdal Stadium and the Katutura Youth Complex. These commodities are basically needed by this community of people without shelter, and there was a demand on it. And the donation which we received today will really greatly help and assist the government, and especially the people without shelter, and they'll coming to receive it today and then distribute it to the Setu senders.
Martinin Elamenji, a senior pastor from the Eternal Life Worship City, a faith-based organization, said that his church gave the donation to support the government in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
We went to work with the Sophia Orphanage in Ochomise. We were in Oka Anja with another orphanage, and last week we were in Babylon. We feed, I think, almost 150 families, and now we decided to come and give to the government these bags of maize meal, cooking oil, toilet paper, because the government know the place that is most affected. And this is not the last one, because we are going to continue. Next week we are going to Grot Hope, and the other week we are going to different parts of the country. We are here to stand with our government. The government will not do everything by itself. We need to stand together so that we can make a difference as a church, as a nation.
According to Pastor Elamenji, the total contribution made by his church in support of the government's fight against the social and economical challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic amounts to about 100,000 Namibia dollars.
We always love to hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. Pan Africa TV, it just gets better.
The Disability Benefit Trust DBT handed over mask, blankets and food parcels to free organizations that include the Education, Arts and Culture Ministry and the National Disability Council of Namibia. The Disability Benefit Trust chairman said that it is important for the community to stand together during the COVID-19 period, and these donations will go a long way in assisting disabled persons in the community.
Our society starts with a family. As a person with disability, it is not always that you find that people take good care of people with disabilities. And that is where the trust hopes to assist. Currently we have the corona pandemic, and very few people are talking or taking into account the needs of persons with disability. As a group with a weakened immune system, it is a group that is that can be attacked easily by the virus.
Other beneficiaries expressed their happiness with the donations and informed the trust on those that will be receiving the donations.
Went with Dr. Aune to Zambezi region, where we visited different communities, and we have learned that there are a lot of children out there with disability who are supposed to be in school and they are not in school, and because of different challenges they face, including social, cultural norms, and those who are in school as well, they suffer a lot when it comes to nutritional meals, protection against the weather. That is why these blankets will be a very good aid to them.
The trust chairman, in conclusion, urged the Namibian nation to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations and measures set in place by the government to curb the spread of the virus.
Praat jy van hulle wel? Hoe weet jy van hulle? Wees jou wat dood is. Wat is sy naam? Wat gaan aan? Praat! Dit was Rikus. Hy was jou pel. En jy het my gedruk om geld op hom te sit. My eie neef.
Dit klink of Rikus dalk nie per ongeluk in die rivier beland het nie.
Ek het jou gesê. Waar is hy dan? Wat gaan aan, Chris? Waar is my seun?
Hulle dink hy is vermoor. Bel die polisie. Ek het 'n moord gepleeg.
Doen dit!
Wat is die ergste wat kan gebeur? A life sentence vir my.
No, let me too. Wat gaan hier so?
Papa, dit is ook al 'n case, so Zanda popped in one of the centers.
So dis hoe jy help.
In other leading stories, in its quarterly bulletin report, the Bank of Namibia noted that Namibia's inflation declined during the first quarter of 2020, driven mainly by lower inflation for food, housing and transport. Inflation declined to 2.3% during the first quarter of 2020 from 4.5% during the corresponding quarter of 2019. The decline was largely reflected in a decrease in inflation for food, housing and transport. This was mainly on account of weak domestic economic activity and deflationary pressure in the rental market. On the fiscal front, central government's debt stock rose during the quarter to 31st March 2020, and the central government's budget deficit is estimated to widen considerably during the fiscal year 2020-2021. The central government's total debt as a percentage of GDP stood at 56.8% at the end of March 2020, representing a yearly increase of 7.7 percentage points. Total loan guarantees as a ratio of GDP also increased during the period under review, but remained within the set ceiling of 10%. Going forward, the central government budget deficit in the fiscal year is estimated to rise to 12.5% of GDP, much higher compared to the previous fiscal year. The rise is mainly on account of government's efforts to help save lives and to support livelihoods, as well as to mitigate the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on economic activity. In this regard, the central government expenditure is estimated to rise during 2020 and 2021 compared to the previous year.
Welcome to Comments Corner, your daily dose of local comments from the hottest social media pages. The Landless People's Movement leader Bernardo Swartboy, at a press conference this week, accused National Assembly Speaker Peter Kashavivi of being incompetent and failing to address the brawl that nearly erupted between NEFF and SWAPO members. Bernardo describes Swartboy as a bold and precise political leader that touches on issues most politicians would avoid. Emi said that the LPM leader lacks discipline. Johnson said that he fears the prophecies of Swartboy as they never fail. Johnny said respecting elders is still important. Lucia said that Swartboy will one day not stand the same words uttered by a young person towards him years from now. Frikkie said, speaking the truth at times can be hurtful to others and that he speaks for the poor. Leonard said that he is tired of personal issues being addressed before the August House. He also said that they voted for leaders that will address problems in a professional manner and not like small children. Tilda said the LPM leader should calm down a bit. Al wants political leaders to be tested for illegal substance before entering the chambers. Lulu said that Swartboy is fighting for corruption to end. And that is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today and One.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of 700 Club Nigeria. Today on 700 Club Nigeria, a woman encounters inexplicable pain after the delivery of her baby. An interesting chat with the Israeli ambassador to Nigeria. Plus, we learn about the power within our spoken word.
My portion in the land of the living, help me sing. As for me, and my house we will serve.
From Cape to Cairo, Accra far to Antananarivo, there are millions of people just like you trying to make a living to make money. And there's no magic way to get rich quick, unless you're Aliko Dangote. You're not Aliko Dangote, are you? No? Well, perhaps we can help you get a little further along the way. With BBC reporters all over Africa, we find the stories, the successes, and the startups that will help you make the most of your money. This is Smart Money.
A look at the weather forecast. First, an advisory from the Windhoek Met Office. East wind conditions will prevail over the coastal areas this weekend and early next week. Please do take the necessary precautions. The Namibia interior is sunny and mild to warm but hot in the far north. Windy weather will prevail in the interior. The coast sunny and warm to hot with sandstorms at times, and the wind moderate to fresh northeasterly to southeasterly. Now a look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
India's Ranthambore Reserve in Rajasthan is home to the rare Bengal tigers. Every year, John Isaac, an Indian-born photographer, travels from New York City to document the lives of these majestic animals.
In the last 10 years, I think my interest has grown tenfold, and I'm very particular about the survival of the tigers.
His goal is to make sure that people everywhere know about the grave danger Bengal tigers face: extinction. John holds seminars and photographic exhibitions from his visits to Ranthambore to raise awareness of the plight of these tigers. He's currently working on a book to document their dilemma due to an increasing human population encroaching on their territory. According to John and wildlife experts, each tiger needs as much as 9 square kilometers to survive, just under 4 square miles. The relationship between tigers and people has always been difficult, but now, with much less territory to roam, tigers often wander into human settlements.
The conflict between the villagers and the tigers has always been there, and then government tries to compensate. If a tiger kills a goat or a cow, they pay a certain amount to the villagers.
In the past, tigers used migration corridors or routes followed by wildlife for travel between summer and winter habitats. Now these pathways have been taken over by people who use them as living quarters and to reap firewood.
We are trying to work with the communities living around and trying to reduce their forest dependency so that we can conserve this corridor patch for the smooth and easy movement of tigers.
Jamuna Devi, a farmer, lives near one of the migratory corridors. She used to depend on the forest for grazing pastures. Now, thanks to a World Wildlife Fund initiative, Jamuna no longer needs to rely on the forest for her family's survival. The secret? Introducing new alternative crops closer to her home.
गई साल बोया हमने खुद ने और ये तो अभी यही गई साल बोया है ये आया होया कांदा है हम 25 रोज को तो तारीख को तो बोया ही है और रोज में अंतर तो आगा भूलने लगा.
The success of this project has led to even more changes. Jamuna decided to plant fodder for her cattle on her excess land to further preserve the habitat of the tigers. She has also switched to cooking gas so that she doesn't have to collect forest wood for fuel.
जंगल में सब दुनिया ने जहाँ पे छोड़ दिया तो सब बे होगी कोई काम नहीं करा लकड़ी को भी नहीं करा जंगल में जाने से भी परेशान है दुनिया गैस भेज दिया सावन के घर घर में वे सभी सिलेंडर पकड़ते और रुपया को कोई समझते ही नहीं है अब भीतर भरा लावा.
Climate change also has a direct impact on the habitat of tigers.
The last 2 or 3 years, they say, there's been a drought. The rains have not been regular.
Climate change is a serious problem in this country, even it's in the continent. So keeping these forest areas alive and protected is the only solution. This year we have raised a nursery of 10,000 saplings. Forest department have shown their interest. They bought around 2,000, 3,000 saplings.
The idea is to plant new trees to replace those lost to severe weather conditions and human activity. Poaching used to be a major threat to Bengal tigers. But thankfully, the number of big cats killed by poachers has plummeted due to measures implemented by law enforcement agencies, resulting in less demand for tiger products. Especially the introduction of camera traps and digital apps, which automatically take photos of moving tigers and suspicious persons moving around in the forest.
Every time I hear something like that, I feel so good, in some ways, some things are working. And so this is what drives me to come and do this. In my lifetime, if the tigers are extinct, I don't know how I'll handle that.
This report was produced by Mary Ferreira for the United Nations.
Another mother is dead and buried. Another girl is posing headless in the paper. Another child is left here motherless. Another prayer, vigil at the midnight hour. A politician gets to be seen on television. Another me, another you, another day, another one is very dead. What you gonna do? What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do now? I wanna take it to the street. I wanna take it to the street. Marching down Independence Avenue. Toy, toy for the woman. Down the killers, the woman. Down the killers, the woman. Toy, toy for the woman. Toy, toy for the woman. Ewe mama, ewe mama, ewe sisi, ewe sisi. Lady baigona, 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 banuba baigona, baigona, watunuko, banuba baigona.
BBC World News, the biggest African and international news story.